Imagine making 6 figures on Upwork by the end of this year. I'm going to give you all the secrets and make sure you stick around for the last point, which is going to help you the most. So let's get right to it. Your main focus needs to be on high paying clients. And when I say high paying clients, that means you're going to have to let some people go, and that's okay. A lot of times people have the mentality that they want to take in all business. So you apply for all jobs on Upwork. Some of those jobs might be high paying jobs, some of them might be medium paying jobs, and some of them might even be low paying jobs. But the mentality that most freelancers have is that the more jobs that I get, the better it is. And yes, that is true to a certain degree. But if you really want to scale your business on Upwork, you're going to have to learn to let go of certain things. And in this scenario, you have to let go of mediocre jobs and instead focus on those high paying clients. And in this scenario, you might get less work, but each client is going to pay you more, so it makes up for it. And keep in mind, even though it's less work and less clients, but those clients are probably going to be less picky. And number two, they're going to be paying a lot more as well. So in this scenario, it's a win-win situation. I always recommend developing a criteria of what you want your ideal client to be and sticking to that when selecting clients to work with. And this point kind of piggybacks off the second point as well, where freelancers take all the work that they can get without having a clue of who their ideal client is. So it's important to develop a framework of who your ideal client is so that when you get an offer, you can quickly check off and see, does this person meet the ideal client? If they don't, leave them. Even though it's a good job, but you don't want to get into it though. And I can give you an example of my own personal self over here. When I got a client a few months ago and they checked off all the boxes. They're an amazing client, they're high paying, everything was great. But during the screening process, I remember I started asking them if they could do things in a certain way, and they would answer back by saying that, well, I don't do it this way though. Or why are you doing this though? Or why are you looking at this from this perspective though? And they kept questioning me over and over again, and I felt like they're undermining me. In my mind, I realized that in this scenario, if they're doing this before the contract is even started, what's going to happen when the contract starts? And I submit some work and they start undermining me and saying, well, why did you do it this way though? Or why are you looking at it from this perspective? And even though the client was the ideal client for me and they're well paying and exactly what I wanted, I actually turned them down. And even though it hurt me thinking about the money that I lost, when I looked back at it, I made the right decision. Because in the past, I've made the wrong decision many times by taking on a client just for the sake of money and end up leaving a bad review on my profile because again, we didn't align though. And even though I knew at the back of my head that this person is not right for me, but I did it for other reasons. And in the end, it didn't help me at all. Another aspect to learn over here is learning to say no. And I'm guilty of this myself. Whenever I take on a client, whatever work is given to me, I always make sure to go to do my utmost to make sure the work is done correct. In one sense, I'm a perfectionist. But what ends up happening over here is that I overstretch myself and sometimes I go far above and beyond what I need to do. So I'll give a classic example over here. A lot of times I'll meet with clients who say they want to get on a call or they want to do regular meetings. And me as an individual, I'm the first person to say yes. But what I realized is that by saying yes to everyone and trying to hop on a call or answer every question and trying to do every single thing. Instead, what I recommend over here is learning to say no by saying that, okay, I can't do this, but instead, I will do this instead though. I can't do this for you, but instead I can do this though. So you're not saying no to turn them down completely and make them feel bad, but instead you're giving them an alternate solution. And this is very important because if you get sidetracked by saying yes to everything, you'll never be able to finish your work and scale your business. And lastly, this is something that I'm working on myself right now, is that if you want to scale your Upwork business, you want to hire contractors who take on an ownership role. A lot of times in the past, I've hired individual freelancers to do some of the work, and what ended up happening was that they simply looked at the job as just another job. And what they would do is just clock in, do the work, and clock out. But that's not what people want. People want individuals who care about the project, who care about the role, and who go above and beyond and thinking from the perspective of the business owner themselves as opposed to simply being a worker. That mentality is something that not everyone has. So in this scenario, it takes me a lot longer to hire the right fit for my team. But when I do hire them, I know that they can do the work at the expectation that I want them to be. And this is very important, that making sure to find those individuals who think like a business owner, who stay up at night thinking about how to solve the problem, who are not satisfied until the project is done. Far too many times in the past, what I've done over here is I've hired individuals who simply didn't care enough about the job. They would simply do the work, ask for money, and not care about anything else. And sure, at the end of the day, it got the job done, but it wasn't to the point where I wanted to be. It never put you in a position which would help you to scale your business. So in this scenario, I always recommend if you want to scale your business, You have to find people who are like-minded like you and care about the business, care about the project that they're on, and care about helping you scale where you want to be as well.